Sirius XM.
Welcome, everybody.
Exclusive comedy talk shows.
This is childlike banter.
This is gonna be nuts. The biggest comedy stars.
Does Jerry Seinfeld miss TV?
Kevin, I did TV.
Michael Che, Colin Jost. Do you guys think post SNL?
I would like to meet my kids. Brian Regan. If I could make $100 doing comedy, I'll have the world by the tail.
I'll do this till the wheels come off.
I didn't even know that was legal.
To listen to Sirius XM Comedy, activate your subscription now by calling 844-711-8800 or head over to SiriusXM.com to sign up quickly.
Looking for a unique point of view on pro sports game analysis? Then tune in to Big C Sports Podcast on iHeartRadio. Get real sports talk worldwide. Miss a live episode? Replay it on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Join Big C, former NFL player and longtime award-winning radio broadcaster, covering all sports including NFL, NBA, MLB, UFC, NCAA, USL, and more. Tune in live or on demand on iHeartRadio Podcast today.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018148868.
There you go now.
I think every...
Oh, I think so. Okay. You gotta get this. You gotta get this.
Grande Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Want to be my neighbor? Shut up, fool! I'm getting ready for the Dodgers and Padres game. Well, I told you I was voted neighborhood watch person, and my job is to bring the neighborhood together. And every time I do it, some people just complain. I guess I should stop doing it before the game. If that comes to my senses, maybe I'll stop doing it before the game. What a beautiful day. Friday, October the 11th, in 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sent you, where the good Lord split you, and hopefully the good Lord didn't split you too wide. I really do appreciate today's show. I have Big C's Friday Night Lights high school football teams, the top 10 high school football programs from sea to shining sea in this beautiful country of ours. And then I have Big C's college football previews. Got some big games. The Oregon-Ohio State game. I got the Red River rivalry with Oklahoma and Texas. Had Timmy Smith on the program yesterday. He's going to be at that game. And then the USC Penn State game at the Los Angeles Coliseum. And then there's fun in Denver Hills. The 49ers won last night up in Seattle. What a game they had. They tried to let them off the hook. They were up 24-3, and they got a little bit close. But the Niners pulled away with the win, and then have Big C's NFL previews, All's Friend Levin Ward. And then the big game in Major League Baseball playoffs. I'm looking forward to what's going to happen tonight. Dodger Stadium, Chavez Ravine. Can't wait to see that game with the Dodgers and taking on the Padres. That series is tied at 2-apiece. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to say thank you for following Big C Sports Podcast all around the world on 29 podcast applications. and I really do appreciate that. Also streaming on 4 TV platforms, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. What I love saying is I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We should all have more laughter in our lives. I can use more laughter. And as I always tell you, the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I even do the storytelling. And then I do the play-by-play. 49ers first and 10, 50-yard line, 4 wideouts, 5-man set by the Niners, Montana under center. The Cowboys with 5-man on front defense trying to get at Joe Montana. Montana says, hut 1, hut 2, asset protection. The snap. Montana rolling to his right. He's rolling, he looks downfield, he throws the ball. It is caught. Caught for the touchdown. Touchdown, Niners. Big C, 50 yards. Montana to Big C. And just like that, the Niners get the groove back. They got the groove back last night up in Seattle. It was a little bit close for a lot of good boys' comfort, but it was not too close for comfort for that 49er football team that got a win. I want winners. I want people who want to win. You want to crown them, crown them. Well, don't crown them just yet. It's still early. It's still early in the football season, but they are in first place in the NFC West. That's important. Also, the show's uploaded to 29 podcast applications out of New York City and streaming on 4 TV platforms. And then I never missed a show since starting Big C Sports Podcast back in 2015. Now we got people who miss practice. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about practice. We have people who miss practice, but I never missed a show with Big C Sports Podcast, and that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And I never want to miss a show. I love doing what I do with Big C Sports Podcast, and most of what I do is I show up. You got to show up. You just got to show up. If not me, then who? I love showing up, and God gave me the ability to show up. I'm so grateful to God for that. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe on TV and podcast. Give that some praise. I'm telling you, it's like Genesis 1 verse 3 in the good book where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. As we shine light all over the world, really do appreciate that. And I also, as I do every show, I love paying homage to this great country by saluting and paying homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline, because our veterans make it possible for us to be free. And sometimes they go to some trauma and they need help. Instead of saying thank you for your service, nothing wrong with that, but I like to offer a number they can call if they have issues, 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you got to make sure that you tell them you're calling to help a veteran, and you give them some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on, and it's so good when somebody's leaning back. I just so appreciate so many things that are happening in the world of Big C Sports Podcast. I don't want to be your great-granddaddy's podcast. I talk sports. I talk a little bit of clergy. I even talk a little bit of politics, and I love doing it all. I got a special program I'm going to do today. I want to play some Dr. Boyce Watkins, but I'm going to get into that too, because I just want so many things to be done, and my show's only an hour, but I'm so grateful that God has allowed me to do it. I want to pay homage to something that I learned just recently. I'm going to do it some justice. It's called Nam Yo Ncaa Yo, Nam Yo Ncaa Yo, Nam Yo Ncaa Yo. One of the most significant attributes of Nichiren Buddhism is its easily accessible practice of chanting Nam Yo Ncaa Yo, Nam Yo Ncaa Yo, Nam Yo Ncaa Yo. I'm doing my best at that. It's a profound yet simple message of Buddhist practice. It's the perfect Buddhist teaching for the modern world. And I love mixing my Christianity, my belief in God, with Buddhism. Buddha was around before Christ. The practice is one of the 3 pillars of Nichiren Buddhism. The others being faith and study, through which we can bring forth our innate Buddhahood. Give Buddhahood some praise. Give it praise, because we all need somebody to believe in Angelina. My life is tremendously anointed. I feel so anointed. Had a great opportunity today to have a meeting. As you know, I don't just get into sports right away because I want to elucidate matters that happened in my life. I went to a training today. It was with the Toastmasters. And there were some people at the Association of Realtors here in Dimder Hills, California. And United Wholesale Mortgage spoke. Also, Best Line Business Funding spoke with Rick Cohen. And the gentleman that invited me there, I believe he's going to do a lot of good business, Aria. I believe he will. And I learned some things. It's called DISC, which is dominance, influence, steadiness. And I believe that. And commonplace. I know I did my own study. And those 4 quadrants, I believe I have all of them. I'm still trying to figure out which one is more dominant. But steady is when you're loyal, you follow up, and you love teamwork. That's 69% of the 4 quadrants for DISC. And so I really do appreciate things that I'm learning about myself. I want to do better, and I just appreciate opportunities that are opening to me in my life. I love making sure that I do that. But I also want to make sure before I get into sports, I have a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. It's Resource Development Consulting, Inc., in conjunction with the Law Office of Attorney Scott Thibodeau and the Law Office of Attorney George Jones, Esquire. The Missing Link, Long-Term Care, Solutions by the Book. Over 3 decades of experience helping seniors get their benefits by the book. Medicare and You, Taking Care of Tomorrow. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. In other parts of the country, it's called Medicaid. Your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. You can find out your options 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And tell them Big C sent you. Our promise to you is to specialize, to navigate, and maximize long-term care benefits that 1 out of every 2 people will need at some point in life if we live long enough. Protection of your assets. Is that Aflac? No, Aflac's the duck. That's Gap Insurance. We do asset protection. See, a duck can't protect his own assets. That's why you can walk into a restaurant and order from the menu. I would take the duck, please. But we do the asset protection without a spend down. The spend down's over in California. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by a staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities. Prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. But not only that, protection of your assets. Hut 1, Hut 2, asset protection. Like Joe Montana would say when he was on the center playing for the Niners in Dimder Hills. Protection of your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program called probate. If you don't have a will and a trust, you bet your assets the probate court will have one for you, and you will not like it. You got to have a will and a trust, and we give you that with the RDC team, a one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. But I'm not done yet. I said I'm not done yet. Why would people have a trust? And what does a trust do? A trust is so important. In fact, 7 out of 10 Americans do not have a will and a trust. Some good old boys told me, some lawyers, not your ordinary lawyer, they were AV-rated lawyers through Martindale Hubbell. They rate their lawyers. And they said, Big C. I said, yes. They said, would you believe that 7 out of 10 Americans do not have a will and they do not have a trust? I said, oh, you must be out of your fucking mind. They said, no. That's paying homage to Spock from Star Trek. Are you out of your fucking mind? I think Scotty always said that to Spock. One time they were cruising around on the USS Starship Enterprise, and Spock said that he was going to go through life without a will and a trust. And Bones and Captain Kirk said, Spock, are you out of your fucking mind? I guess he was. He didn't have a will and a trust. But 7 out of 10 Americans have cable TV. You can't take the cable TV to protect your assets at the end of life. A will and a trust will do that. That's what smart people do. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. So what happens with the RDC team? By the book, protection Insurance coverage required by law. That's important. General liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care. And 1 out of 2 Americans will need long-term care at some point in life if we live that long enough. Avoid probate, life insurance, veterans benefits, age and attendance, pre-planning, and avoid the look-back period. That's important. There's no more look-back period in California called the asset test. What about fixed assets, Big C? Do your lawyers protect that? Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked. Because our trusts protect your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, your money market accounts, your certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, your fixed indexed annuities. Now, for example, if you're driving down the highway in Dimdale Hills, anywhere in this country, oftentimes you'll see big advertisements for Get the Dough Law Firm. What law firm, Big C? It's called Get the Dough Law Firm because there's lawyers called ambulance chasers, and they chase around after accidents, and they're trying to find people who they can sue. Because a lot of people, they know 7 out of 10 Americans, they do not have a will and a trust. So their assets are exposed. You ever walk around with your assets exposed? Now, I had a speech impediment, so don't think I'm saying anything bad. But you got to protect your assets, if that makes sense to you. Like a lot of men, they walk around sagging as if they haven't been raised properly. And they walk around with their assets exposed. You don't want to have your assets exposed. You got to have a trust to protect that. You know, attorneys can say, if we don't win, you don't pay. I said, what? They say, if we don't win, you don't pay. Because Get the Dough Attorney law firm, they make so much money on people who don't have asset protection. They're willing to lose some cases and not get any money because they know 7 out of 10 times they're going to go after somebody's assets and they don't have it protected. You got to get a will and a trust. What about variable assets, Big C? Does the trust protect that? Well, I'm glad you asked because it protects that too. Your real estate, your qualified money, your IRAs, your 401ks, your other investments. For example, avoid capital gains. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000. And then 1 year later, that house appreciates to $1 million. Well, that's a $900,000 capital gain. You avoid that with a trust. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. You got to find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And get some help. And just tell them Big C sent you. Well, Big C, I have a friend. And he does trust too. In fact, we even play golf together. Why would we trust you and the RDC team? Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked. Because we have references. And ask a friend if they have references too. Because our references are in writing. The late James Gomez. Who is the late James Gomez, Big C? Well, he advised 4 California governors and led change in California nursing homes. He was also the CEO of California Association of Health Facilities. But not only that, he was also on Golden One's board of directors for 21 years. But not only that, we have the late Robert Carlson. Who's the late Robert Carlson, Big C? Well, he was the top legal counsel for CalPERS, one of the largest employers in the state of California and the world's 5th largest economy. They endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have Attorney Scott Thibodeau, one of the top estate planners in Northern California. We have Mr. George Jones, Esquire, the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. But not only that, we have Mr. Leon Woods, who works with many of the top lobbyists in California. But not only that, we have Mrs. Cheryl Brown. Who's Mrs. Cheryl Brown, Big C? Well, she is an amazing person. And she's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. She endorses the RDC team. But not only that, we have Mr. Ray De La Cruz. He's the CEO of Resource Development Consulting Inc. Been doing this thing over 34 years and counting. We have Mr. Alex De La Cruz. He's the founder of American Veteran Benefits. But not only that, we have Charlton Curry. He's the co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project. Also, business development consultant with the RDC team. But not only that, owner of Big C Sports Podcast Corporation, the #1 sports show, talking asset protection in the universe. But not only that, we have Double O. She's the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. Also a business development consultant for the RDC team. But not only that, has her own economic awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can Google it on accesssacramento.org or KUBU in 96.5 FM. Also, eatprivate.net. You got to give that some praise. I say give it praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Before I get into that, I believe in reparations. Descendants of child slavery, we deserve the Just Act. If you Google the Just Act, United States Department of Labor, the United States Department of Justice, and Congress, they made sure they worked with the German government to make sure descendants of Holocaust got reparations. And we gave that praise. They also worked with the California government to make sure descendants of the Japanese internments got reparations. We give it praise. Also, the 1866 Indian Treaty that gave Native Americans land, and now you go there for casinos. African Americans were excluded. African Americans were also excluded from the Homestead Act. In 1862, United States government gave white Americans and white Europeans over 160 acres of land. Oh, BC, that's not fair. I know it. You know what they gave black Americans? Nothing. They said, pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. After World War II, African Americans helped get rid of Hitler's reign. When they came back home, white soldiers got the GI Bill. Black Americans were told, pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. They gave us nothing. Now, according to Einstein, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. People in real estate, they know that. And our economists know that. Imagine giving a person 160 acres of land and with a compound interest, and you give it to them in 1862. How much wealth would they have today? At the same time, take another group of people that fought every war in this country, from the free labor from 1619 to 1865, the Civil War, 100 years of Jim Crow, and we still talking about reparations? I believe in reparations. Before I get into sports, I want you to hear the number one speaker in the history of this country on reparations. He said the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. This is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America. And it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it, I mean, murdered them, murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. It's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
So you heard Dr. Martin Luther King talk about reparations, that the United Nations believes in reparations for descendants of chattel slavery. We've given reparations to descendants of Holocaust. We've given reparations to Japanese Americans from the internment camps in California. And you heard Dr. Martin Luther King that everybody respects say that reparations are due and necessary. Reparations are only paid in this country for slavery. The slave owners, after the Emancipation Proclamation, the slaveholders were given $300. African Americans did not get the 40 acres of the mule, and we still rise and shine. I want you to hear from Dr. Boyce Watkins on what we need to do as African Americans. As our wealth builds up, it will stimulate the American economy, in his own words.
But the problem is we're online listening to the wrong people, and next thing you know, you end up in a situation as bad as they are. So that's it. So my agenda would be for black people to be mentally and physically healthy, for us to have good relationships with each other and stable families, and then the last part is wealth. That's it. I want you to have financial security. I want you to have income. I want you to be in a situation where you're not financially desperate. I don't want your kids running out here financially desperate either. Because if you send your child into the world financially desperate and emotionally devoid, with big emotional voice they're trying to fill through entertainment, they go end up at a damn Diddy party. That's where they go end up getting discovered by Clive Davis. Because the devil can smell your deficiencies. The devils can smell when you are lusting for something and have greed in your heart. The devil can smell when you have these voids and you somehow think that somehow being acknowledged by these folks is somehow a come up. They can smell that. So let me keep going here. I'm going to stop. I'm going to answer some questions. So let me answer some questions. He's going to be there talking about wealth and how we can build independent, strong black wealth without having to sell out. Dr. Ken Harris is going to be there. Dr. Ken is one of the greatest black leaders in this country as well. He actually runs the Black Business League, started by Booker T. Washington. And basically they are doing millions of dollars in business by establishing trade routes to Africa. I went to his Black Business League conference. They had it at the same time as InvestFest. So I went to InvestFest and the Black Business League conference. At the Black Business League, they had dozens of delegations from Africa. They came over to the United States to connect with black business owners where they're literally doing millions of dollars in business. What else? Who else do we have this year? We also, as far as entertainers, we've had performers there. Killer Mike was at the first All Black National Convention. David Banner, D1 has come to several All Black National Conventions. I think he's coming this year. Infinity Song and Victory Boyd, they're now world famous, but they were coming to the ABC before they became famous. We've got just so many great people. That's the thing. I just wanted you to get an idea of the type of black excellence that we have there. Like Ace Chapman, who has made millions of dollars acquiring businesses, and he's showing students how to do this in the Black Business School. Constance Carter, who ran the largest black real estate firm in California. Michelle Walker Davis, who has helped black folks get hundreds of millions of dollars in government contracts. The government contracts, that's our money. We pay taxes. We deserve some of that money. Dr. Lene Javette, who's a business strategist who has a doctorate where she studied black entrepreneurs and what's required to be successful. Shaleigh Camilo, who is an excellent real estate expert. Ryan McCrary, who's an expert in digital marketing. Jay Harriel Arundel, who is an activist. We have so many people. Errol Semengal, who teaches stock options. We have so many amazing people. I can keep going down the list. I'm not going to read everybody, but I wanted you to just get an idea of the types of people that come to the convention, and I know that you guys are going to love it because not only are there great people there that you can learn from, but there are amazing people there that you can become friends with, connect with, date, marry, do business with, etc. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. We're going to meet in Chicago, October 25th through the 27th. It's actually Lombard, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. We're going to be at a nice hotel, the Westin, and just have a really good time. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com if you'd like to join us. And also, last but not least, if you want to take a look, I have a free training called How to Make Money Without Working. It's all about stock options. I think stock options are awesome. That's how I make a lot of my money. Feel free to go to text the word money to the number 87948. Text money to 87948, and I'll send that to you right away. As soon as you text money to 87948, I will text it back a link, and you can take a look at the link and decide if that works for you, because I really think that it's important for us in order to get away from the financial desperation to learn different ways to make money. I don't want to make money the way Whitney Houston and Diddy made money. I'd like to understand how Clive Davis made money without all the other stuff and the shenanigans. But really, Clive Davis, I think he went to Harvard Law School. And he's a businessman, right? But you have to think about this. You have these entertainers, these flashy entertainers, and we think the entertainers have all the power. No, the people that have the power are the ones who went to law school. The people that have the power are the ones who started the company. The people who have the power are the ones who are doing the financial deals. Do you understand? So the key to power is not performing. The key to the power is wealth. Do y'all understand that? Do you get what I'm saying? If you understand wealth, then you understand America. If you understand wealth, then you understand power. If you understand wealth, then you understand how to build and manifest and create whatever kind of world you want to live in. So we should, as a community, in my opinion, really make ourselves, like we're black people, we're great at whatever we choose to do. We're great at whatever we choose to be great at. We become great at that. I believe we need to be great at wealth. I think that's the next agenda. I believe that by the year, it's Project 2070. It's going to take time, but I believe that by the year 2070, black people, B1 people, those who are smart enough to take the challenge, those who care enough, those who are committed enough, those who are sick and tired of the nonsense, their grandkids are going to literally lead the earth when it comes to economic power, wealth acquisition, and the understanding of money and finance at all levels. That's what I believe is going to happen, but it's going to take a couple of generations to get there. We're just at the beginning, so don't give up on yourselves. Don't get mad about what you see. Just get to work. Don't get mad. Get to work. Give me a yes if I help somebody today. I'd like to be able to go and hang out with my buddies and know that I did something good for the world. And I want to say thank you guys for listening today. I appreciate you. Tomorrow morning we are going to meet for financial consciousness training. We do this every single day at 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you'd like to join us in the morning, you can text the word morning to the number 87948. I'll send you an invitation at 10 a.m. and we're going to get started. So God bless you. Thank you for putting up with me. I know I'm half crazy. I might even be half baked, but it's all right because we're going to keep on cooking because I ain't stopping for nobody. So have a good night, everybody. God bless you, and I'll see you soon. Take care now.
Well, there you have it. Big C Sports Podcast. And that was Dr. Boyce Watkins talking about excellence in the financial industry. And that's what I want to do with the Big C Sports Podcast. I will not be your great-granddaddy sports show. I want people to have meat on the bone when they watch and listen to Big C Sports Podcast. That's meat on the bone. Well, now, as I said, back by popular demand, are you ready for some football? Yeah! It's happy Friday night. Big C Sports bringing it to you. I love doing Big C's Friday Night Lights after we do some financial literacy. I got number 1 in Big C's high school football top 10. Number 10 is Mission Viejo High School out of Southern California. They're a great program. Number 9, St. Thomas Aquinas out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Number 8 is North Shore High School of Houston, Texas. And number 7 is Carrollton High School of Georgia. Number 6 is IMG Academy out of Bradenton, Florida. Number 5 is Bishop Gorman out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Number 4 is Duncanville High School out of Duncanville, Texas. Number 3 is Milton High School out of Milton, Georgia. Number 2 is St. John Bosco of Bellflower, California in the Trinity League. And number 1, defending national high school football champions, the Mater Dei Monarchs of Santa Ana, California. You got to give that some praise. I said, give that praise. I love giving that praise. Big C's high school football Friday Night Lights. That's where a lot of good old boys and girls, they learn to get excited about what's going on in the world of high school football. And I really do appreciate it because that's where we start to learn how to play like a team or play like a champion. And that's my story that I'm taking with it. I want to just go into what happened last night before I get into Big C's college football and NFL football. I have last night, I was right on my prediction. The 49ers, they beat the Seattle Seahawks. It was 36-24. And the 49ers now, they are tied for first place in the NFC West. They needed that because of the tough business out there in sports, especially in the NFL. If you fall behind, and we're not even at the halfway mark. But the 49ers, they're now 3-3. Tough game last night in Seattle, but the Niners pulled it off, and that's what they had to do to get their groove back. They didn't let it get away from them this time. They were almost about to blow their third lead where they had a double-digit margin. They lost to the Rams. They also lost to the Cardinals last week, and Seattle was trying to claw back in after being down 23-3, but the Niners prevailed in the end. Congratulations to the good old boys from Dimdale Hills, California. I got week 6 in the NFL schedule for 2024 stacked with a lot of great matchups. Got you covered with what you need to know. The NFL universe, there's a lot of good football, and I love it. If you love football as much as I do, it really is super fantastic. I got some good games to get to. The Jacksonville Jaguars 1-4 at the Chicago Bears 3-2 at 9:30 a.m. kickoff East Coast time on the NFL Network and ESPN. And the Bears are favored by 1.5. The over-under is 44.5. 800 gambling if you bet on football. And the Bears are who we thought they were. You want to crown them? Crown them. Well, don't crown them yet. The late, great Dennis Green said the Bears are who we thought they were. Now, the Jaguars, this will be the first of the Jaguars back-to-back games in London. And Jacksonville plays New England on October 20th at Wembley Stadium. The Jaguars have won 3 of the past 4 games overseas, and they swept their back-to-back games in London last season, Atlanta, and also Buffalo. I tell you, I like the way Caleb Williams is playing for the Bears. The Bears storyline, a team that historically has been built around defense. The 85 Bears. No, this is not your 85 Bears defense. They're ground and pound. I want winners. I want people who want to win. Well, that team is no longer here, but I love what the Bears are doing. What you need to know, just my opinion, I always find out what is Las Vegas thinking. The betting nugget, it's the first time the Bears have been favored in a game outside of Chicago since 2021. That was a 2.5 points at the Detroit Lions. All's friend Lamore. I got the Bears beating the Jaguars 24-21. I think Caleb Williams will have a great game. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got the Arizona Cardinals 2-3 at the Green Bay Packers at beautiful Lambeau Field 3-2 at 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports and ESPN. The over-under, Green Bay favorite by 4.5. The over-under is 47.5. 800 gambler if you bet on sports. Kyler Murray had a great game last week in San Francisco. He leads all quarterbacks in yards per rush. He's averaging 10.7 yards per carry. No other quarterback is averaging more than 7.3. But this game's at Lambeau Field where the magic happens. And you got to look at Jordan Love. He's already thrown 5 interceptions, tied for 4th most in the league, despite playing in only 3 games. He started this way last season too, with 10 interceptions in his first 9 games. I think he'll get his groove back. I know at Lambeau Field it's a magical place. A lot of people have a hard time winning there. A betting nugget, what does Las Vegas think? The Green Bay Packers are 3-0 outright against the spread, against teams with losing records. 800 gambler. If you bet on sports, I have Green Bay 31. Arizona 28. It's hard to go on the road back-to-back, beat San Francisco, and then beat Green Bay. I have the Indianapolis Colts. They are 2-3 at the Tennessee Titans 1-3, 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports and ESPN Bet. Tennessee's a 2.5 point favorite. The over-under is 43.5. 800 gambler if you bet on sports. The storyline, this is a matchup featuring the stingiest and most porous defense in the NFL according to yards per game. Now, the Titans have allowed a league low 243 yards per game behind a revamped unit, and the Colts, meanwhile, they're yielding a league high 419 yards per game. Coming off a loss, they gave up a season high 37 points to the Jaguars. That's not good if you give it up that many points in a game. But what does Las Vegas think? I got to tell you, 800 gambler, I don't bet on sports. I like keeping my money in my wallet. But the Colts are 4-1 against the spread this season with 3 straight covers. That's a clue. I have Indianapolis 24, the Titans 21. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. How about those Texans? The Houston Texans, they're 4-1 at the New England Patriots, 1-4. 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. Houston's a 6.5-point favorite. The over-under is 38. They may score 38 by themselves. The storyline to watch, this will be the second time that Texas faced a rookie quarterback this season, and Houston beat the Bears with quarterback Caleb Williams in week 2. And finished, he was 23 of 37 passing, 174 yards. But he's getting better. D'Amico Ryans has a great defense down in Houston. The Patriots storyline, maybe the number 3 pick is set to make his first career start. But I don't think it's going to be a good start. Houston's a very good team. But a stat to know, it's about 800 gambling. If you bet on sports, I don't bet on sports. CJ Stroud will have a great game. But the underdog of at least 6 points, they are 15-2 against the spread this season and 10-7 outright. I got the Houston Texans 34, New England Patriots 17. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3-2 at the Who Dat Say? They're going to beat them Saints. The Saints are 2-3. So 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. The over-under is 41.5, 800 gambler. But Tampa Bay is favored by 3.5 after a heartbreaking overtime loss to the Falcons. The Buccaneers are trying to avoid an 0-2 divisional start, and I think they have a good chance at overcoming that start because touchdown Derek Carr, he's injured. He's not going to be throwing the ball for the New Orleans Saints. The Saints will be starting a quarterback with no experience, and that's going to hurt them. Rookie Spencer Rattler will get the nod, but it's not good when the Saints giving up a lot of points on defense, and they lose Derek Carr for a couple of weeks. But what does Las Vegas think? It doesn't matter what Big C thinks. What does Las Vegas think? A betting nugget. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're 8-2 against the spread in their past 10 games as underdog. I have Tampa Bay 28. Who that say they're going to beat them Saints? 17. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Also want to give thoughts and prayers to the people of Florida and also the Carolinas, where the hurricane decided to come home and take back what was which is territory. Thoughts and prayers to all the people and our first responders saving lives, doing the best they can, and I wish them all the very best. May God be with them. Back to the games. I have Cleveland. This is for you. The Cleveland Browns 1-4 at the Philadelphia Eagles 2-2. It's a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. Now, Philadelphia is favored by 10. That's a lot of points. The over-under is 42.5. Now, the Browns are off to a bad start. This is not your Jim Brown's Cleveland Browns. They're bad on offense. They've scored under 20 points in all 5 games this season. Their longest streak to start the season since 1999. That's when Prince said we're going to party like it's 1999. Quarterback Deshaun Watson has a hitch in his giddy up. And Coach Kevin Stefanski is calling the plays. They got to figure out how to get him out of the pocket and let him be a run-pass option. That's my story. I'm taking with it. For the Eagles, wide receiver A.J. Brown has a hamstring, a hitch in his giddy up. He's going to be tough to deal with and play with. So I think that's going to hurt their offense a little bit. But I got to tell you, the Eagles are a better team. Are they 10 points better? I don't know. But what does Las Vegas think? Quarterback Jalen Hurts will throw 3 or more touchdowns. With Brown and Smith returning, Philadelphia coming off a bye, they're rested. 800 gambler. Keep your money in your wallet. What does Sam Jackson say? What's in your wallet? I got the Eagles. They are 1-6 against the spread in their past 7 games as a favorite. And they're 10-point favorite in this game. I got the Eagles 30, the Browns 21. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I think they win, but I don't think they cover the spread by a nose, the hair of a nose. I got the Washington Commanders 4-1. What a great team they become at the Baltimore Ravens 3-2. It's a 1 o'clock p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. Now, Baltimore, the Ravens are a 6.5-point favorite. The over-under is 51.5. 800 gambler if you bet on sports. Now, Washington's run defense, they rank 31st in yards per carry. They allow 5.1, and they're 22nd in yards per game at 130. The Commanders are coming off their best showing, allowing only 104 yards versus the Browns. Baltimore's a different breed of cat. Or would that be a different breed of Raven? They're a different breed of Raven. The struggling Ravens defense, which allowed the 7th most points per game this season, 25.5. They face quarterback Jalen Daniels and the highest scoring team in the NFL at 31 points a game. Not since John Harbaugh became coach in 2008 are the Ravens looking like they have a little bit of susceptibility on defense. But what does Las Vegas think? I think Superman Jackson will have a great game because he's a run-pass option, and he showed how great he was when they beat Cincinnati last week. At least 62 points will be scored in this game. Both teams can put the ball in the air. But what does Las Vegas think? A betting nugget, 800 gambler. The Commanders have won their past 2 games as underdogs, plus 7.5 at the Bengals and 3.5 at the Cardinals. I'm telling you, it's tough to pick this game. The Ravens are a better team, and I think they'll show it. I got the Baltimore Ravens 35, the Washington Commanders 24. That's my story. I'm taking with it. How about those Chargers? The Los Angeles Chargers 2-2 at the Denver Broncos 3-2. It's a 4:05 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. The Chargers are -3. They're 3-point favorite. The over/under 35.5. 800 gambler. If you bet on sports, the Chargers have lost 7 of their past 10 matchups against the Broncos and have not won in Denver since 2018. That's a long time, 2018. I gotta tell you, the storyline: the Broncos tied for 22nd in scoring, giving up 19.2 points per game, 28th in yards per play at 4.5, and 31st on third down. That's a clue. The Chargers coming off a bye week as well. You got to be patient no matter who you are in this game. The Broncos have the most pressures in NFL since week 3 at 49, the second most sacks, 15, and the 72 points they've allowed this season are their lowest through 5 games since 2009. What does Las Vegas think? 800 gambler. Keep your money in your wallet. A betting nugget: each of the past 3 times the Chargers were road favorites in Denver, the Broncos won outright. 2019 and 2021. My score: the Los Angeles Chargers 24, the Denver Broncos 21. That's my story. I'm taking with it. How about those Steelers? The Steelers 3-2 at the Raiders 2-3 in Las Vegas. 4:05 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. Now Pittsburgh is a 3-point favorite. The storyline of this game: Coach Mike Tomlin, he left the door open for quarterback Russell Wilson to be active against the Raiders, but that does not mean that he's going to start him. I think touchdown Justin Fields has been doing his thing as a starter through his first full practice since aggravating his calf injury on September 5th. The Steelers, they got a good thing going right now. I know they let one get away, but they're still very solid. The Steelers have averaged just 4.3 points in the first half compared to 16 in the second half, so they're a second half team. The Raiders, I don't know what's wrong with the Raiders. They're looking for a spark for the second time in the calendar year. Aiden O'Connell finds himself coming up the bench to be the starter. The Raiders just aren't that good of a team. That's just a fact. The Steelers have allowed an average of 23.5 points per game in their 2 straight losses after allowing 8.7 in 3 straight wins to start the season. What does Las Vegas think? 800 gambler. Keep your money in your wallet. What does Sam Jackson say? He said, what's in your wallet? The Raiders, they've covered 5 straight games, falling at 2-0 start against the spread this season. I got the Steelers 24, the Raiders 17. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. How about those Cowboys? The Lions 3-1 at the Dallas Cowboys 3-2, 4:25 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. Now Detroit in Big D, meaning Dallas. Both cities starts with a D, but this one is Big D. Down in Dallas. In Texas, 4:25 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. Detroit is a 3-point favorite. The controversial ending to last year's matchup became a trending topic when Dallas beat Detroit after a potential game-winning 2-point conversion try, but the Lions' Taylor Decker was stopped by an illegal touching penalty. He didn't report. I think they have that on their minds. I'm not confident in Dallas after completing 19 consecutive passes against the Seahawks in Week 4. Jared Goff, he could match the longest streak in NFL history with 6 straight against the Cowboys. But the Cowboys are who we thought they were. You want to crown them? Crown them! The Cowboys, they are a good enough team to be better than what they are. I got to tell you, I'm not sure how to go against this game. But the Lions running back David Montgomery, through Week 4, the Lions led the league in running back touches. Montgomery's had a rushing touchdown and put up 15 or more fantasy points in every game. What does Las Vegas think? Touchdown Dak Prescott. He can throw the ball. I mean, they have a team that's ready to explode down in Texas. And you know that's what Jerry Jones wants. But what does Las Vegas think? I think revenge is best served cold. I think that was in Star Trek. if that makes sense to you. A betting nugget, 800 gamble, keep your money in your wallet. Touchdown, Dak Prescott has not closed at least a 3-point home underdog since 2018. I'm telling you, if a lion and a cowboy were in a cage, roar, roar, a lion would maul a cowboy. I don't think they'll maul him, but I think they'll beat him. The Detroit Lions 31. How about those Cowboys? 28. That's my story. I'm taking with it. The Atlanta Falcons 3-2 at the Carolina Panthers 1-4. 4:25 p.m. kickoff. East Coast time on Fox Sports. Atlanta's favored by 6. The over/under is 46.5. And Kirk Cousins, do you like that? Do you like that? Has thrown a league-high 8 touchdowns, but not under pressure in 2024 with no interceptions, but has a league-high 5 interceptions with no touchdowns. The Panthers, meanwhile, they're 29th in the league in pass rush, and that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. And I got to tell you, the Falcons have trailed in the final minute of the fourth quarter in all 3 of their wins this season, and they're the first team in NFL history to do that in the first 5 games. What does Las Vegas think, Big C? What does Las Vegas think? 800 gamblers, what Las Vegas thinks. The unders are 17-5 in the Falcons-Panthers matchups since 2013. Atlanta 35, the Panthers 21. That's my story. I'm taking with it. How about those Bengals? The Bengals are 1-4. What? Yeah, they're 1-4 at the New York City Football Giants 2-3, 8:20 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on NBC and Peacock and ESPN. The Cincinnati's a 3.5-point favorite. The over/under is 47.5. 47.5. The Bengals are a much better team than their record, and I think they'll show that in New York City against the Giants. The Giants have won just one of their past 14 primetime games with Daniel Jones at quarterback. I'm telling you, that's the worst record of any quarterback in primetime since the 1970 merger. I'm looking at the Lions. If you let a real lion roam in New York City, it would only be second in the fear factor to the big rats in New York City. Who would win in New York City? A Bengal Tiger or one of those rats? I think the rat might lose a close fight. Down goes the rats. Down goes the rats. Down goes the rats. I think the rats fall in New York City to the Bengal Tigers. I think the Bengal Tigers score at least 35 points in this game. That's my story. I'm taking with it. What does Las Vegas think? The unders are 5-0 in Sunday night games this season. They're 31-10 in the past 3 seasons. I got to go the Bengal Tigers 24. The New York Football Giants 17. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. How about those Jets? The Jets, Jets. Touchdown Aaron Rodgers. Had head coach Robert Saleh fired. The Bills 3-2 at the Jets. 2-3, 8:15 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on ESPN. The storyline, the big question for the Bills going into this matchup. If the offense can turn itself around to avoid the team's first 3-game losing streak with Josh Allen, and I think they will. The Bills are averaging 15 points per game over the past 2 games after averaging 37 points per game in their first 3 games. I got to tell you, in my opinion, getting rid of Robert Saleh was wrong. They had the second best defense in the league, and they let him off the hook. They decided to swipe left as opposed to take it out. The Bills have never lost 3 straight games, following a 3-0 start in franchise history. That's a clue. What does Las Vegas think? 800 gambler, keep your money in your wallet. I got the Buffalo Bills. A betting nugget. All 3 Bills road games this season have gone under the total. 4 straight Jets games have gone under the total. Buffalo Bills 31. New York Jets 21. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Well, if you like that, give that some praise. I say give it praise, because that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got to take you to some college football. Big C's weekend picks. Some great games on dock. I can't wait to see them. Everybody loves college football, and it's now week 7. It's almost the halfway point for a lot of college football programs. I love getting right down to it with some big-time players making big-time plays. I'm going to take you out west to the West Coast. It used to be the Big Ten versus the Pac-12. Now it's Oregon versus Ohio State. Ohio State's favored by 3 at Austin Stadium. Be a lot of green and gold in that stadium. Not only could this game be a potential preview of the Big Ten title matchup, but this contest should play a key role in shaping the Heisman race in college football playoffs. This is because Ohio State has cruised to a 5-0 start behind the steady play of quarterback Will Howard. Along with a high-profile ground attack, one of the best defenses in college football. However, Austin Stadium, you'd be nuts, and the Buckeyes are nut to think that ducks don't like nuts. What? What is he? You say ducks like nuts? Yeah, ducks like eating nuts. They like eating these nuts. Ducks like eating nuts. A trip to Austin Stadium, you'd be nuts in that crowd if you don't see them eating some nuts. A big step up for Ryan Day's team after a slow start to the 2024 season. Oregon seems to be improving with each game. Heisman Trophy hopeful quarterback Dylan Gabriel is among the top Heisman contenders, and the offense does not lack for weapons. This team can score, and they can score big. I like the way Oregon's playing, but they can't have turnovers at home. The crowd's going to be 60,000, which is the biggest crowd in the history of Austin Stadium. Ohio State, they hold 104,000 at the Horseshoe. But the crowd just as loud. The last time these two teams played, Oregon beat Ohio State back in Columbus. In this game, I'm telling you, quack, 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 quack. I got Oregon knocking off the Ohio State Buckeyes. You'd be nuts to bet against the Mighty Ducks. These are not your ordinary ducks. These are Jurassic Park ducks. Quack, 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 quack. I got Oregon 31, Ohio State 28. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. LSU versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 3.5-point favorite. They have not won in Baton Rouge since 2008. Despite being a small favorite, it's going to be a big hurdle for Lane Kiffin's team to go down to LSU in Baton Rouge and beat those Bengal Tigers. I got to tell you, Coach Kelly said, we are family. The Tigers are coming off an off week. This is Ole Week's 7th game of the 2024 season. The extra time, it helped LSU get ready for this game. LSU is a very good run team. I'm telling you, Garrett Nesmeyer, if he has time to throw, they're going to win this game. They're going to beat Ole Miss. In my story, I have LSU 35, Ole Miss 31. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Now, you may or may not disagree, but a Bengal Tiger can beat an Ole Miss any day of the week. Ole Miss, look out for all those Bengal Tigers. I got Colorado versus Kansas State, and Kansas State's favored by 4 over primetime Deion Sanders. This crucial Big 12 showdown features an intriguing matchup, a big on big led by quarterback Shedeur Sanders, a Heisman Trophy candidate, also receiver and defensive back Travis Hunter. Now Colorado's passing attack ranks second in the Big 12, over 326 yards per game. Kansas State's defense is holding teams at 19.6 points a game. The Wildcats also have the right offensive style to play and make this game tough for Colorado. But I got to tell you, there's something about prime time. Deion Sanders. If the Buffaloes are able to pull off the upset, Coach Deion Sanders, his team would be 3-0 in the Big 12 play in prime time. I'm telling you, I like the way Deion Sanders is getting this team to play. I know the media got tired of all that prime time, but I like Colorado in this game. I think they're starting to gel under Deion Sanders. I got Colorado 31, Kansas State 28. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. How about the Oklahoma Sooners and the Texas Longhorns? I was talking to Timmy Smith yesterday, and we had some talk about what's going on in the world of college football. And I really do appreciate the conversation we had yesterday. I got to say, Timmy, I know you love football down in the Southwest. This is a big game in Texas. They used to be part of the Big 8. Now they're SEC after leaving the Big 12. Texas is a 14.5-point favorite in Dallas. In a rival game, it's hard to say that someone has a 14.5-point favorite because upsets can happen. Now, Texas is a heavy favorite in this annual matchup, the Red River rivalry. It should bring out the best of Oklahoma. Also, the Sooners should benefit from the extra time to prepare, especially with the freshman quarterback Michael Hawkins Jr. settled in the role after a clutch performance at Auburn a few weeks ago. For Oklahoma to pull off a massive upset, Coach Brett Venables, his team needs to be able to control the line of scrimmage and generate a couple of takeaways and give his struggling offense a few short fields. Texas is just loaded with offensive power. Quarterback Quentin Ewers is expected to return to the starting lineup for Texas after missing the team's last 2 games due to an oblique injury. And Ewers may have some early dust in his return, but the standout offensive line, it should help Texas win over the Oklahoma Sooners. I'm not saying they're going to cover 14.5, but I think they cover 14. I got Texas 34, Oklahoma 20. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Now I got to tell you, everybody has their own thoughts. The USC Trojans could be undefeated. They're at home in the Coliseum versus the Penn State Nittany Lions. Welcome to the Big Ten. I think they were robbed at Michigan. I think they were robbed at Minnesota. We played to win the game, but they did not get the benefit of the doubt on many calls. That's my story, and I'm taking with it. Now, Penn State's favored by 4 in the Coliseum. This would normally be a Rose Bowl game. The last time USC played Penn State in the Rose Bowl, USC won. In addition to being a fantastic uniform matchup, there's a ton at stake for Saturday's showdown in the Coliseum. Penn State moved to 5-0 after last week's win over UCLA. They're not going to beat 2 LA teams back-to-back. And Coach James Franklin's team has yet to play a complete game after struggling against the Bowling Greens. The Nittany Lions, their defense has limited their last 3 opponents to just 18 combined points. But there's a different breed of Trojan. I got to tell you, after losses to Minnesota and Michigan, USC will be tested once again on Saturday. Turnovers, 9 lost so far in 2024. Lincoln Riley cannot turn the ball over. I think the Coliseum will be packed. And the Trojans, that horse, they're going to bring out that horse for a nice workout. The Trojans have had an impressive moments this season, but the Big Ten, they've been on the road. The time zone has been different. Penn State has to travel now across the country and play in that packed house at the Coliseum. Lincoln Riley's team is now 1-2 in conference play with the losses on the road at Michigan and Minnesota. But they're at home. He's getting $11 million a year and a house. You got to win this game. USC, they still have an outside chance at college football playoffs if they went out and win the Big Ten. The Pac-12 over the Big Ten, I don't like it, but that's the way money talks and BS walks. USC should be a lot tougher at home in the Coliseum with the packed house. Penn State, traveling across the country, they're a good team, but I got USC 31, Penn State 27. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, a few more games. Arizona State at Utah. Utah's favorite by 4.5. Utah hardly loses at home. I have them 28-24 over Arizona State. That's my story. I'm taking with it. Alabama versus South Carolina. Alabama's favored by 21. How they lose to Vanderbilt after that big win against Georgia. Stranger things have happened. I got Alabama 35, South Carolina 17. That's my story. I'm taking with it. Iowa versus Washington. Iowa's favored by 3. I doubt that. Washington had the big win over Michigan. I think Michigan wins again. They will knock off Iowa. Make that Washington will knock off Iowa 28-20. That's my story that I'm taking with it. Well, I know everybody loves football, and I'm saying, are you ready for some baseball? Yeah! I love baseball. And I'm going to close with this. In Dodger Stadium, Chavez Ravine, if you don't like baseball, you'd be nuts to not like baseball. The Dodgers, they were down to the Padres in San Diego. It's the NLDS. The Dodgers came back and won. This game I'm so excited to see. It's already underway. The San Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is it. This is it for the NLCS. I'm telling you, I haven't been this excited about a game since I struck out 11 batters in one game. That's my story. I'm taking with it. The great Shohei Ohtani. The great Mookie Betts. Tatis Jr. for the Padres. All I can say is big on big. I can't wait to see it. I don't want to talk too much about it because I want to get to the game. I have runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball. Swung on. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Shohei Ohtani. He goes yard. And the Dodgers win. The girls love the long ball. And men love to hit deep. Love hitting deep at Chavez Ravine. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I hope everybody has a great time watching baseball tonight because it's a great time out. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you on every Big City Sports podcast, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber. You could call Lyft. You could walk it off. You can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you save may be your own, or someone you love, or someone who loves you, or someone who's loved by somebody else. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. My beautiful mother always says, on my family side, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No No man, woman, or child should ever go through that crap on their own. You need more leader in your life. Leader is an acronym for love of the answer. If someone loves you, they don't hit you. Oh, they hit you because it made me mad. Call 911. If someone loves you, they don't beat you. Oh, they beat you because it made me mad. Call 911. If someone loves you, they don't choke you out. Oh, they choked you out because it made me mad. Pick up the phone. Call 911. Things change when the police show up. Someone that loves you, they don't hit you. They don't beat you. They don't slap you. That's my story that I'm taking with it. You know, I love paying homage on my family side, on my mother's side, my great-grandparents, mama and pop, beautiful, loving, kind people, always offering lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. In fact, you know, as little kids, always going outside and playing, running into the house right to the refrigerator. Oh, smelly and sweaty. Saying, great grandma, I'm hungry. Can I have some ribs and some collard greens? She said, yeah, baby, go wash your hands. You can have some ribs and some collard greens. I said, great grandma, I'm too hungry to wash my hands. I just want to eat. She said, baby, just go wash your hands. You got some ribs and all the collard greens you want. I said, great grandma, my tummy's hungry. I want some greens in my belly now. She said, we wash our hands in this house. We wash our hands and she let us eat. Love my great grandma, all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother, grandfather Pop, former military man and former Negro League baseball player known around his church buddies, is making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. Can fix anything. He can even fix an alternator. I think that's why my great grandmama loved him so much. I love when he help us, let him help him put up a fence. He said, boys, didn't I tell you to measure twice and hammer once? Sometimes the fence would be like 4 feet too short. Always measure twice and hammer once. I learned that from my great grandfather, always helping us do things. Love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my grandparents, Muddia and Hezekiah, beautiful, loving people. They were seers. They can oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. And they still help me to this day. And I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started the Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Always saying rise and shine. The best person I ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Dear mama, you hear my praise. I deserve it now. An Ncaa anointing. Isaiah 54:17, no weapon formed against me ever prosper. Mama, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You know I deserve the very best that God could offer. The best person I ever met in my life. Love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my grandparents, Albert and Alberta Curry, they were pastors. They had 3 churches and owned 2 gas stations in Oakland and 40 acres of land. 40 acres of land, they owned it. I remember being 10 years old, walking through the hallway about 10 o'clock at night. I was actually 8 years old. It was about 10 o'clock at night. I felt somebody touch me in my forehead. She said, what are you doing, young man, going to get some cookies? I said, what are you doing? Grandma, it's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, what are you doing, young man, going to get some cookies? I said, cookies and baby crap to what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations. But a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt. It's been a long wait. She said, there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. And now I'm on 29 podcast platforms, streaming on 4 TV platforms. I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My grandfather, Albert Curry, a great man, always saying use your mind and develop it to the highest extent. I fix things and I know stuff. Always giving us good advice. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that airplanes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. In fact, my dad said always develop your mind to its highest extent. My dad's the first one to tell me that the United States Air Force SR-71, the Blackbird, could fly from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. in 1 hour and 8 minutes. Always saying go forward. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother Todd, with that bombastic voice, talking about politics and sports all the time. Voice sound like thunder and lightning from top of speak. Always going forward. Say go forward. Don't look back because you don't have much backside. Always go forward. I said I love my backside, Todd. I'm telling you, so many great things Todd and I have done over the years. We love Malcolm X, and we also love the movie Pulp Fiction, as twisted as it was, with Sam Jackson, Ben Rames, John Travolta, and Bruce Willis. Before the big fight, Ben Rames said, Bruce, come sit your butt down and take this money, and your butt goes down in the 5th round. Sit that flip. He said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. And Ben Rames said what a lot of football players say. He said, that stinking decision you're feeling, well, that's just pride flubbing with you. And he said what a lot of athletes say to each other. He said, blood pride. He said, pride only hurts. It never helps. He said, football's filled with a lot of unrealistic, muddly bluckers who think that butt gets better with time like fine wine, but it don't. In terms of vinegar, then it do. Now take this money. Someday you're going to thank Uncle Marsalis. When you're chilling in the Caribbean, you're going to say Uncle Marsalis is right. But we know Bruce Willis didn't take the dive, and he lost his LA privileges. I love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. Isaiah 54:17. I pray that no weapon formed against you will prosper. You can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. Daisy set up the very first interview for a Big C Sports podcast back in the days of Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. They'd normally go to ESPN, but because of 2 black men in the crew, they came to Salem Media, and they called us the Dream Team. Shenanigans set in, and now I'm shining on Big C Sports Podcast. Daisy, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. In fact, one time, Daisy scored 6 goals in a soccer game. She's a right-footed kicker. She did the left foot. Daisy with the ball, Daisy with the dribble, Daisy with the kick. Daisy scores! Goal! 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 And the team won the game because of Daisy. She was kicking the assets into the grill. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, my body, and soul. Always, always count on God. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. My beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, erudite, a good man. Malcolm always trusts God. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Isaiah 54:17. I pray that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers and look up stats for a Big C Sports podcast on players and teams. And one day Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And the light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. And then Malcolm said, Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. And now it's streaming on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. You're a good man. Always be a good man. Always love God. And always do the best you can. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-grandparents coming out of that barn with their church buddies, always saying, you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe. Say, let's get ready to rumble. I love saying, welcome to the show. SB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. All I have is this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients called it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God. And that's why I scream so loud, because I want God to hear my praise. I want you to hear my prayers. God, I deserve it now. $100 million. Healthy, wealthy, and wise. I love that you're giving me Big C Sports Podcast and all the great things that are in my life. God, I'm so grateful. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then, as I tell you, I love paying homage to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and President Abraham Lincoln. But I got to pay homage to the greatest fighter that ever walked the earth. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to say, reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly and I sting like a bee. There was no fighter greater than Muhammad Ali. Well, as you know by now, I end every show, every Big C Sports podcast by paying homage to Dr. King and President Abraham Lincoln. And I hope our presidents will do what they're saying do. What did they say do, Big C? Reparations now, reparations forever. I said pass reparations now, pass reparations forever. I said pass reparations now, pass reparations forever. That's their words. I thank you. I appreciate you. and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.
Looking for a unique point of view on pro sports game analysis? Then tune in to Big Z Sports Podcast on iHeartRadio. Get real sports talk worldwide. Miss a live episode? Replay it on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Join Big C, former NFL player and longtime award-winning radio broadcaster, covering all sports including NFL, NBA, MLB, UFC, NCAA, USL, and more. Tune in live or on demand on iHeartRadio Podcast today.